to work for 70 hours a week. So when I was in England, people used to say, life begins after 5 p.m. So it's work up to 5 p.m. and then life begins at 5 p.m. after 5 p.m. And the foreigners, they take these yearly vacations like anything. They won't miss yearly vacations, whatever might happen. Sometimes they go for 2 vacations in a year. So work-life balance is very important. So this particular study is trying to improve understanding of the impact of remote work on work-life balance. Objectives: identify perceptions and attitudes towards remote work among employees. Assess the specific challenges. Just 1 minute. Please go ahead. I'll join later. So identify perceptions and attitudes towards remote work among employees. Assess the specific challenges and barriers countered in remote work settings. Illustrate the strategies employed by individuals to cope with the transition to remote work. Evaluate the impact of remote work on work-life balance, communication, and productivity. So not only the impact they want to evaluate on work-life balance, but the impact will also be evaluated on communication and productivity. Offer insights and recommendations for improving remote work practices. So detailed example, we are discussing a detailed example of thematic analysis. So these are the research questions. What were people's experiences and perceptions of remote work during the COVID-19 pandemic? What challenges and barriers did people encounter when working remotely, and how did they navigate these challenges? What strategies did people employ to manage the transition to remote work and maintain productivity? How did remote work impact work-life balance, communication with colleagues, and overall job satisfaction? What lessons can be learned from the experiences of remote work during the pandemic, and what recommendations can be made for future remote work practices? So these were the research questions. So these research questions were kept in mind, and then the interviews were conducted. This is a sample interview transcript. So interviewer has asked a question: can you tell me about your experiences with remote work during the COVID-19 pandemic? Now the participant has answered this. Okay. So when the pandemic hit, our company quickly transitioned to remote work, and it was quite a significant shift for me. At first, I was excited about the idea of working from home, but it quickly became challenging. One of the biggest issues I faced was the lack of separation between work and personal life. When I was in the office, I had a clear boundary between work and home. But now that I am working from home, it felt like I was always on the clock. It was hard to disconnect and relax. This is what he feels. And in the second paragraph, he describes issues about the communication. You can read these paragraphs, and then we'll go. In the third paragraph, the respondent talks about lack of social interaction. In the middle paragraph, he talks about communication challenges. Now, if you have this type of transcript, how to analyze it? That is what is the meaning of thematic analysis. That is what is done in thematic. So, see, this sentence, when I was in the office, I had a clear boundary between. So, this paragraph or the sentence can be assigned to a code or a label, which is boundary blurring. Boundary blurring means there was no boundary between home and office. So the interviewer felt that he was always on the job. Now, then there was this sentence on communication. I found communication to be much more difficult. In the office, I could easily walk over to a co-worker's desk to ask a question or have a quick chat. But with everyone working remotely, it was harder to get timely responses. This particular set of sentences can be assigned to communication challenges. So the researcher has to come up with these labels or codes. So these are labels or codes: boundary blurring, communication challenges, productivity impact, social isolation, benefits of remote working. And this is done for one. Similarly, to try to see if there are other boundary blurring codes that can be assigned to the next interview transcript. So the codes will remain same. Then you try to see whether these transcripts can be assigned to these codes. Fine. So there is one code, benefits of remote working. That is also, there was a sentence which talked about this benefit of remote working. So once you have done this type of analysis for one particular transcript of interview, you can do this for a number of interviews, and then you will be able to analyze, or you could come up with some themes. So first step is the code. Second step is theme. If you look at thematic analysis here, data familiarization, then generate initial codes. We have generated some codes. We have labeled the statements and connected them with the codes. Then we do theme identification. Now, theme identification, communication challenges and productivity impact. These two codes can be put under shifting dynamics in relationship. The code is a term which is used in quantitative research in the context of labels, basically. Okay. So these are two codes: communication challenges and productivity impact. You can see here, communication challenges, productivity impact, and these codes can be put under this theme of shifting dynamics in relationships at work. So relationships are impacted at work. So these two codes can be put there. Then there is boundaries between work and home life. This could be another theme. And under this theme, you can write, Could boundary blurring, social isolation, benefits of working from home. So once you have these codes, the next step is to generate some themes. This is how the themes are generated. Okay. And then after you have done some analysis, you come up with some conclusions about your research. So you can say after the analysis complete that remote work is leading to social isolation, and even also it is leading to loss of productivity. The next data analysis technique of quantitative analysis is grounded theory. Now, grounded theory aims to develop new theory or theories based on the data. Up till now, we have not done any method where some theory is developed based on the data. In fact, it is very difficult. But if you are able to do a thorough analysis, maybe some theory can be developed. So, analysis carried out with an open mind, without any pre-notions. For example, exploring how remote workers adapt to digital communication. So this is one example which can be explored using, and after doing the analysis, we could come up with some theory. Okay. The process of conducting ground theory analysis, same data collection, which is from interviews, observations or documents. Then open coding, identify concepts from raw data. And finally, you have theory development. Formulate a theory based on your findings. Correct? Okay, so we'll look at one example. So how do people cope with unexpected loss of job? Sometimes what happens, people get fired unexpectedly due to one reason or the other. Maybe companies laying off, companies shutting down, companies restructuring, or as they call it restructuring. Rather than saying that you are being fired, the company would say that we are restructuring our company. So data sources, again, 50 maybe interviews with recently laid